iPadOS 26 changes everything for the iPad A16. This isn't just an update, this is actually a reimagining of how you interact with the iPad because now it's more powerful and versatile than ever. You can actually resize all of your applications that you have on it, and this allows for much better multitasking than the previous split view option. There's also the Mac-like window controls on the top left for exiting out of an app, minimizing it, or maximizing it, and there's even a menu bar on the top. They also added the stage manager that allows you to quickly add more apps to the apps that are currently open, or also to quickly shuffle back and forth between your different apps just by pressing it on the side. So this allows you to watch a video in one window while taking research notes in another, browsing the web on Safari, writing emails. You can do them all at the same time on the iPad and always resize the apps to fit the exact workflow that you need. So this really blurs the lines of this being an iPad versus a more traditional computer. And there's finally the preview app for macOS, which makes it easier to open, edit, and mark up PDFs or images with your Apple Pencil. And I love having Stage Manager on the side of the iPad A16. It is important to note that even though the iPad has the A16 chip, it still doesn't support the full suite of advanced Apple Intelligence features that require the M-series chips found in the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. Also, while the A16 does support the new windowing system, external display support still is not great with the A16 because it's going to actually mirror everything that you have on the screen unless you're watching a full screen video, in which case it'll resize it to be the full screen of your external monitor. So if your needs lean heavily into most cutting edge AI capabilities or a real multi-monitor desktop experience, that's when you need to consider some of the other iPads as well. But for most users and for most tasks, the iPad 11th generation is now more capable than ever. Let's talk more about the hardware of the A16. From the moment I first got this iPad, I've noticed it looks exactly like the iPad Air M3, and it feels nearly identical too. It's got the buttonless design on the front of it. It's got the landscape center stage camera, which is great for video calls because if you got this set up like a laptop, you just look at the top middle of this and it's going to be very easy to make great eye contact with it, and it'll also follow you around with center stage capabilities. The screen quality on this is also pretty good. It's one of the liquid retina displays with 500 nits of brightness, which is more than enough for most indoor use, but if you're in the bright sun outside, you will miss the brighter screen that the iPad Pro has. It's also missing the anti-reflective coating found on the iPad Air and the iPad Pro, and it only supports the sRGB color space, not the P3 color gamut, which is okay. I don't think most users will notice or care unless you had this side by side with one of the nicer iPads. That's when you would notice that the displays on the others do look better. This one's also missing the fully laminated display, so it's not going to be quite as comfortable to touch and to use with the Apple Pencil. But overall, the hardware on this is still great. It feels really comfortable to use, and I think the 11-inch size is the perfect iPad size. You also get features like the Touch ID button on the side of it, which I always miss Face ID, but Touch ID works just fine, and there's a USB-C port, but it does top out at 480 gigabits a second. This also has stereo speakers that sound pretty good, but they're not going to match the quality of a MacBook Air speakers or the iPad Air or the iPad Pro speakers. For truly impressive audio, then I recommend using the iPad with AirPods, because then you can still take advantage of the great screen on it while also having a better audio experience. So I've been testing this iPad for everything from taking notes to watching YouTube videos, watching TV, streaming music, and it handles all these tasks really well. So it's got pretty good sound, great screen quality, and such a lightweight tablet, which makes this a great media consumption device. It's also very comfortable to hold either in landscape or portrait orientation. So it's going to be a great option for browsing the web, finding recipes, just doing your day-to-day iPad-y tasks. My main gripes with this are if I compare it side by side to the nicer iPad models, I do miss the brighter screen of the Pro. I also do find myself missing the ProMotion 120Hz smooth scrolling. Also, 500 nits of brightness on this can feel a little bit limiting at times. I will say one complaint with this iPad is some of the accessories it supports are not as nice as the ones for the iPad Pro or even the iPad Air. This supports either the original Apple Pencil, which you'll have to use an adapter for to connect it, or the Apple Pencil USB-C, which magnetically attaches to the side, but it doesn't magnetically charge, so you have to actually charge it and pair it with the USB-C cord, which is a little bit of a pain. This also supports the Magic Keyboard Folio, which is a nice case, adds a trackpad, pretty good typing performance, or you can always use this with a Bluetooth keyboard or a mouse, but adding these can quickly increase the overall cost of the iPad A16. I'd say the A16 is really designed for users who don't need or care about having cutting-edge processing power. Has 6 gigabytes of RAM in the A16 chip, which is more of an iPhone chip jammed into the body of an iPad instead of having an M3 chip or an M4 chip, which is more of a computer-grade processor jammed into the body of an iPad. So the M3 chip also has a media engine for better video exporting and rendering tasks, which I'd say most people who buy the iPad A16 aren't going to be doing. It also does have the slower 480 megabit a second port that doesn't hit the 10 gig speeds of the iPad Air or the Thunderbolt port of the iPad Pro. This is plenty fast if you just want to plug in an SSD or flash drive to transfer some photos or documents off and on. You can get this either in 128, 256, or 512 gigabytes. And I'd say for most people, 128 gigabytes is sufficient with cloud storage for photos and documents. The iPad A16 comes in at $350 for the 128 gigabyte model. And if you want to get it with the cellular antenna, you're going to add about $150. But I have seen the base model of this iPad on sale for as low as $300, which I think is an amazing value for all the features this has to offer. So who is the iPad A16 for? Especially with iPadOS 26, I'd say it's for anyone who's seeking a versatile everyday iPad that excels at streaming, browsing the web, watching videos, handling general tasks. You can also always use it for word processing, productivity work. It's going to do a great job with all the new multitasking features and the ability to resize the windows. If you're going to use this with AirPods, you're also going to appreciate the increased sound quality that really elevates the experience of the iPad. So I'd say with iPadOS 26, the A16 is now the best base model iPad ever that punches well above its weight, offering a sophisticated multitasking experience that was previously reserved only if you got the Air or the Pro. So if you're trying to decide which iPad to get the iPad A16 if you're looking for a great entry point into the iPad ecosystem. With the A16 chip, it is important to note it's not going to be quite as powerful as those other models, but if you're a student who's doing note-taking, reading textbooks, or general productivity tasks like Pages and Google Docs, it's going to work great for you. It'll also be fine for browsing the web, watching movies, playing some light games, and staying connected with friends and family. I will say, I think you should go up to the iPad Air M3 or the iPad Pro M4 if you need a significant performance boost for creative hobbies like photo editing or more demanding productivity tasks. Basically, if you're trying to get a lot of work done with this, that's when you'll appreciate the better processing power that they have. Both of those have fully laminated displays with P3 wide color gamut, and they also both will give you more future-proof device that will receive even better software and app updates for many years to come. Get the Air M3 if you want the improved speakers and the slightly improved display, and if you want the ability to use it with the Magic Keyboard case. Go all the way up to the iPad Pro M4 if you're a professional doing creative, intensive tasks like video editing, 3D rendering, or music production, or if you require the best display technology available, because the Pro gives you the tandem OLED display, ProMotion, 120 Hz refresh rate, and better color accuracy. I'd also argue get the Air or the Pro if you're going to use the iPad as a full laptop replacement, and if you need those advanced features like extended display support and also with the AI Apple Intelligence capabilities that are going to come out in the future. The A16 still will not support Apple Intelligence though, which is a little bit of a letdown, but I'd say at this point Apple Intelligence is really half-baked, so most people aren't going to care. I'm just concerned for the future capabilities that will come out, and if people who bought the A16 will wish they had the Air M3 instead. But for most people, I'd strongly recommend just get the iPad A16 over the iPad Air or the iPad Pro. The Air is really for users who want to have better performance for demanding tasks like some video editing, or if you want to push the limits of the iPad as a computer replacement. But for everyday iPad usage like browsing the web, streaming, or even this new robust multi-window workflow, the iPad A16 with iPadOS 26 will do an exceptional job at an excellent price point. If you're interested in buying this, I do have links to buy in the description below. And if you have any other questions or you think I missed anything, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming content.